Welcome to Gerris Cast. This is Chris Abraham of Gerris Corp. I am doing another test today because my business partner Dan couldn't make it this morning. So this will be test treble or quadruple zero. I think it's treble zero. And I will tell you some history of influencer marketing from my point of view. When I was 17, it was a very good year. No, I went from being a technologist doing application development and system admin between, I would say, 1993 and 2002, and then I went and did a soul search on a sailboat ride through Mexico from Acapulco to LA. And then after that, I was able to get a job through my buddy Roger Wolfson and Mark Harrison at a place called New Media Strategies. One of the things they did there was they did community outreach on message boards and forums. They did them anonymously, and they did them to message people in such a way that they would not know that the messaging was brand related or sponsored and paid for by a small group of people who were promoting product and service and so forth. So I guess it was the first astroturfing. I was there 2003. We were there during the entire time when blogs became the thing in 2006 for the election and everything, and I became a blogger like that, and I had been blogging since 1999, but by the middle of 2000s I was really serious about it, and it was very exciting times. And after I left NMS to go to Edelman, I learned how to do direct mail type of outreaches, but I still thought to myself, well, you know what, that was so effective, going out there and reaching out to people, astroturfing, I guess, sneaking around, pretending to be people you're not, pretending to be members or even thought leaders of online message boards and forums. That's cool, but I bet you can do it by just reaching out to the gatekeepers themselves, the influencers themselves, the bloggers. At that time, bloggers were the most curious people about technology. They used blogs, of course, but they were also the proto podcasters. They were always also the people who showed up at all the pod camps that were the precursor to the WordPress camps, WordCamps. And so they were very exciting times. By the time YouTube came out in 2005, bloggers were extending their footprint into videos and so forth on YouTube. And so I said to myself, well, if I can get the bloggers' attention on behalf of the clients and the brands and the nonprofits and the services and the products and all that other kind of stuff, then I can reach out to them very openly and honestly and say, listen, I'm here on behalf of X and Y. I noticed that this is something you're interested in. I was wondering if you'd be interested in partnering with me or learning more from me, maybe getting your hands on some product or service, experience it, and then if you like, share it. And at this point, it was definitely earned media. While my first client was Pay Per Post, now Isaiah, that guy's a visionary. I've been running influencer marketing, earned media influencer marketing campaigns for the last 15 years. And so that's what I did. I created landing pages that were exemplary. So reaching out to bloggers was mostly done by email. Created an entire world of research for emails, hired a bunch of researchers out of India to help me with that. Arsh and Subhachit and all those dudes. And it was really cool, really effective, very powerful. And then I realized that the top influencers were harder and harder to get a hold of, even though they had journalistic integrity. So I started going long tail. At some points, we've reached out to thousands of bloggers via email, reaching out to them, giving them, mezamashi crazy run Mizuno awesome run shoes and coconut oil and all kinds of things. It was very exciting. It still is very exciting, although I'm sure everyone knows that influencers are now, if not highly compensated, they might not be compensated for their reviews, but these days they're definitely compensated for their time. I would say it's an access fee. It's an hourly rate, if you will, for their time and attention. And it wasn't until, I guess, 5 years ago, or maybe 8 years ago, when I had a conversation with someone and I felt very moved by that, even though I've continued to mostly do earned media influencer marketing, which has, in the last 10 years, has turned around where people who do earned media influencer marketing or earned media blogger outreach aren't journalistically, public relations, journalistic integrity. We're taking food out of the mouths of bloggers or influencers, and I can see how that was turned around. That makes sense, that we take advantage of these poor people. However, I think that nobody would have ever said that you take advantage of journalists, and I dare say that there needs to be a certain level of transparency and integrity between. But I see that the market has been more than willing to accept that kind of caveat, that kind of loophole, and it's only natural, right? That kind of quote corruption. I wouldn't say it's corruption, but that kind of corruption is shown every day at the discotheque, at the restaurant, at the hotel, with the host or the hostess, where you can, pay $2,000 to get a better table or cut in line. I mean, even Disney, the most wonderful place on earth, has an entire corruption scheme where they allow rich people to cut in line by buying priority tickets. So I guess it's just the way things are in capitalism, and Dan Kruger and I are adapting accordingly. One good thing about earned media influencer marketing is you need to make sure that you need to make sure that your clients don't suck, because you can buy your way into a conversation with the crappy product, but you can't win your way, no matter how good Dan and I are at creating message models or being persistent or finding ways of making our mail deliverable or creating a most beautiful and amazing landing page or anything like that. So till now, that's what we do. We call it long tail, we call it micro or even nano influencer marketing. But originally it was just blogger outreach. I called it blogger outreach, and then I called it long tail blogger outreach, with the belief that there's always someone who is deeply fetishizing anything that you can do. It's Internet Law 34, I think. If it exists, there's porn of it. And my theory always is that if it exists, there's definitely blog of it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to answer your questions. The details about the process can be found if you go to my personal or even Gerris Corp SlideShare. Search influencer marketing Gerris Corp or influencer marketing Chris Abraham. Go to slideshare.net/ is it Chris Abraham or is it /Gerris Corp? Anyway, and I have a bunch of decks up there that go into great detail about the steps that Dan and I take every day when we do influencer marketing gigs. It's not rocket science, it's not magic, it's not black box at all, but it's a lot of work. And I've been lucky so far to find clients that want to outsource that kind of work instead of doing it themselves. But since there are now a metric Brazilian of influencer marketing agencies and agencies that offer influencer marketing services, I don't know if that's necessarily the competitive advantage it once was, but we're happy to do it for you if you'd like. We're really good at it. We have infinite number of years of experience, and we love doing it. So that has been a test episode of me talking directly into my Zoom H2 from 15 years ago, 10 years ago, the first version. You know, the one that's sort of like silver white before they became sexy black. And I've got it linked via a micro or mini USB, whatever the chunky first version of it was. And I'm feeding it directly into Audacity as though it were a microphone instead of a MP3 recorder. So let me know how it sounds. And instead of using the 103 hours and 19 minutes of disk space that I have remaining on my computer, I will close up now and remind you that there are two important things when you reach out to people who you don't know, who, even though you call influencers, are just normal people who are at home dealing with other things, with other people, with kids and taxes and bills and money and lack of money and insecurity and fear and existential crisis and Trump. Just remember, always use hugs, not horns, to engage them. And whatever, don't forget, no matter what, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. I almost lost that one. It's attributed to Socrates, but I do believe, or Plato? Socrates or Plato, but I believe it is really someone else, and I'll let you know about that one anyway. Maybe I should just redo this ending, but I won't, because I promised you that it's more worthwhile. I think it's Alexandria, something of Alexandria. I gotta go find that for you right away, I know. Be kind, everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. I have the clickiest keyboard in the world. I bought a mechanical keyboard because I love it. It's attributed to John Watson. It's attributed to Ian McLaren. It is attributed to Brad Meltzer. And I believe it is attributed to Plato, of course. But it is really, you bugger. It is really attributed to, you bugger, come on. Do not use Bing. This is even much more fun, you know, when these podcasts start to mess up. Philo of Alexandria, yeah, but it's also attributed to Ian McLaren, John Watson. Wikipedia even says it's Ian McLaren, but I like to think it's Plato, or Philo of Alexandria. Anyway, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Now widely misattributed to Plato or Philo of Alexandria. Well, there we go. Maybe it's Ian McLaren. That's good to know. I just learned something on our behalf today. You can reach me at chris@gerriscorp.com or chris@abraham.su. You can reach me at www.chrisabraham.com, which is my personal site that has crossover. You can also reach me at gerr.is, www.gerr.is. My fancy pants Icelandic address. I am at Chris Abraham on all the social media services. Never got really into Snapchat, so don't waste your time there. And if you... and thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this test. I call this 000 or 000 or something like that. And you have fun. Don't forget, hugs not horns. Ciao for now, and arrivederci, and adieu, and a biento, and I'll talk to you again next Wednesday unless I decide to do more tests.